Hello and welcome on in episode number 48 of the Wise Guys podcast. I'm John Tortorelli with my co-host Brandon Capizzello in the Miami Heat hat and Justin Ray. Today, fellas, we have a lot to talk about going into week 10 of the NFL season. I got plugged in my charger, but how are y'all doing on this fine Thursday morning?
I'm excited and ready for football, man. We got the greatest Thursday night football game of the year tonight. Panthers taking on the Falcons. Let's get turned. The Dirty Birds are going to continue to prove me right.
Brandon's team, Carolina, baby.
Turn, my team. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to,
Is Baker activated? He'll be on the
Sunday.
sidelines with a.
What'd you say?
Baker's going to be on the sidelines with a playbook in hand, right? Helmet, maybe?
Yeah.
No helmet?
Yeah.
Okay.
A funny guy, right?
So starting off today, fellas,
2-6.
one of the 2-6. Great introduction. Big time news in the NFL. What we're going to do moving forward is add in a segment which is the story of the week, the biggest news. And for the NFL, I think the most important story is the Pittsburgh Steelers being optimistic about TJ Watt's return. He was taken off the IR a few weeks ago, and at that point, there's an activation period. You have 21 days to come back, or you're basically going to be out for the year. You get put on season-ending IR. And TJ wanted to play before a bye week against the Eagles, and the Steelers said, look, we want to err on the side of caution. You are our knight in shining armor. But going into a game against the Saints this year have struggled. The Steelers obviously have as well. As a Steeler fan, I want them to get a top 10 pick, but ultimately, they're going to try to be as competitive as they can to end the season, and I think to build a competitive team, there's no better way to get back on track than adding in the reigning defensive player of the year that's probably a top 3 edge rusher in the league, and beyond those two things, makes us an elite defense because of how special he is. I think back to week 1, where the Steelers had 5 turnovers. It starts with TJ Watt allowing Cameron Hare to go one-on-one, taking pressure off of Alex Highsmith because TJ can handle the doubles and all the stunts offensive lines may or may not try to throw his way. And I'm telling you right now, if he is anywhere near 70 or 80 or 90% on Sunday, this Steelers defense is going to look a lot more like the unit I was talking about going into this year. And look, man, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs because dug ourselves into too big of a hole, and we can't win this division at this point, 2 games out of the lead. But I do think TJ Watt's going to make us more competitive and just watchable, something we haven't been to start this season.
How many more wins do you guys think you could tally off with TJ Watt?
I'm going to pull up the schedule for you because the Steelers have a very, very formidable schedule to end this season. I actually had them finish with 9 wins. I was going over this with my buddy Devin. So you look at their schedule this week, they got the Saints at home.
That's winnable.
Very winnable. And given all the Saints injuries, I do think we beat them. It's a 1 o'clock game. The next week, we are playing at home versus the Bengals.
That's a tough one.
You beat them. First game of the year.
Yeah, but that's week 1. Biggest
And
toss-up.
Joe Burrow is coming off of a very serious surgery.
Mhm.
No comment?
Oh, I'm waiting for Brandon.
All right. Yeah. What are we doing here?
We're going over the Steelers' schedule. Can they get over 500 to keep this Tomlin streak alive? No, they have an easy schedule to end the year, buddy. And this week, the Saints, Marshawn Lattimore did not practice. And what's his face? I'm blanking on Michael Thomas. He hasn't been anywhere near what we'd expect.
You just said that they have a formidable schedule like 2 minutes ago, and now they have an easy schedule. So which one is it?
I was being generous before. It's easy. I'm looking at it now. I'm seeing
there's no easy wins.
All right, buddy. Given the NFL, the state of it, when you play the Saints at home, the Bengals at home, the Colts on the road, the Falcons on the road, then the Ravens, a team we have yet to play this year but are very beatable in the second half of games, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Ravens again, and the Browns. Only 3 of those games are tough. The Browns, the Ravens twice, and the Bengals. So
how much better are you guys to the Saints?
I think we're better. Given TJ Watt hasn't played in 6, 7, 8 weeks.
No, but hold on. But wait, you were literally on the episode last episode saying the Falcons are going to win the division, the AFC South. So now they're not. Now that's an easy win in Atlanta.
That's like the second worst division in football right now.
But I'm just asking you a question. You said that they're going to win the division. So
Yeah,
they've obviously got to win some games. It's
I
in
said they could.
Atlanta. Is the Atlanta not a very good home stadium to play in?
Yeah,
You have raved about Kyle Pitts, Cordero Patterson, all
I
these guys on
haven't.
the team. Yes, you
Not this
have.
season. I haven't raved about Kyle Pitts this year.
Okay, but before the season, you were. He's still is he still not a formidable person to have? You still have to have eyes on him when you're a defense, right?
Atlanta's offense has been very up and down this year. And their
Okay.
coach and Arthur Smith has had some really good weeks. But they look at a game versus Cincinnati where they just get their absolute tail blown off in the first quarter. We can easily beat the Falcons. And I think you guys are failing to recognize how good TJ Watt is. And on top of that, we're getting Monte Casey off of IR and William Jackson, one of the best or one of the better cover corners in the game. Those two guys in the secondary are huge assets as well, and multiple assets of the game. I'm using the word assets a
You know,
lot.
I don't think we're underestimating how good TJ Watt is. I think we're just going off of what we've seen from the Steelers period this season. Your offense has been extremely underwhelming. The defense isn't playing up to par, obviously, because of TJ Watt. But again, he's coming off of an injury, so we don't know what kind of version of TJ Watt we're actually getting. Are we getting TJ Watt on a snap count? So how much of a difference is he going to make if he's actually on a count? You know?
I don't think people realize how bad they've been because they've missed TJ. They've gone from a team that always is leading the league in sacks to the bottom three teams in pressure, sacks, turnovers generated, and of course the defense has been about like one of the top or one of the bottom 10 units because of his absence. And I feel like he takes them from bottom 10 to top 10.
Ooh, that's a
What better
big
way to
jump.
help out a young quarterback?
No, you're
Considerables.
100% right. But looking at the schedule, well, yes, I can't say any game is easy. You have some winnable games that I think that's a better term because nothing is easy. The Falcons have surprised a lot of people. The Bengals have beaten teams that we have high expectations for them, and the Saints they can shock you any given Sunday, and I think that's what I would like to highlight any given Sunday. So
Yeah, I mean, they literally just 2 weeks ago shut out the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders, while they're not a good team in totality, they have a way better offense than the Steelers.
Sure, and I'd argue the Steelers have a way better everything else. So, and Andy Dalton's the quarterback. We have
Okay,
a
so
pretty good
it's
number against
literally, what do you
Andy.
mean, way better everything? I mean, okay,
Coach,
okay,
defense.
yeah.
Their
But I mean,
offense has
if
been
you got
very
a crap
underwhelming.
run game, your rookie quarterback's not playing that particularly well. He keeps turning the football over. Your O line's not that good. I mean, congratulations, you're gonna have to deal with that Saints defense, which has been taken advantage of at points, but can still get you, like Justin said. Anytime, I mean, if they're playing on hitting on all cylinders, what's your offense going to be able to do? Then it's just going to become a defensive game.
mhm.
I think with Michael Thomas and IR, Jarvis Landry questionable, we can contain Chris Olave, and that Saints offense is going to put up like 13 points.
You
I think
literally
we can
forgot a
escalate it.
guy by the name of Alvin Kamara.
I feel like we can contain him. Our linebackers this year done a really good job.
I feel like the Saints are just such a surprise team. You just never know what you're going to get from them. Taysom Hill might bust out for 2, 3 touchdowns, and you're looking at a totally different ball game. So not an easy game. Definitely a competitive one. I'm expecting.
Come to think about it, that is the exact thing that happened to my Steelers.
All right, Justin, do you have a story? Because I'm tired of talking about John
Yeah,
Steele.
yeah.
Just wanted to
So
sneak up the show today.
I know we've spoken ad nauseum about Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. And last week we spoke about Geno Smith and the Seahawks. I'm sorry if you guys hear anything outside.
All I
Um,
hear is dimes coming out of your mouth.
so I don't know if you guys heard, but Pete Carroll took some subtle shots at Russell Wilson this week.
Did he?
I'm going to read this to you guys. He says, if you notice, Geno's going off of the wristband, and that's a big help, Carroll said. It smoothed things out, sped things up, cleaned things up, and that's part of it too. We never did that before. There was resistance to that, so we didn't do that before. So, I guess somebody had asked Russell Wilson about this, and his response back was, won a lot of games without one on the wrist.
Not a lot of playoff games after the Legion of Boom.
I just felt like so I wanted to point that one out specifically because it's a shame that these two, Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, possibly two future Hall of Famers, are coming at each other. Even if it's people are saying this is not a shot at one another, but it definitely feels like it is. They've had a lot of success together in the NFC West for any one of them to be taking shots at each other. I think they benefited greatly from one another. So to see stuff like this, it's kind of disappointing.
And it's not just those two pending Hall of Famers, because back in, I guess it was October, when Richard Sherman had Marshawn Lynch on his podcast under the Volume Network, Marshawn Lynch goes, or no, Richard Sherman goes, he on the struggle bus talking about Russ. At this point, the Broncos offense looks terrible, like it has all year. And then Marshawn goes, man, I want to reach out to Dog. Then Sherman goes, yeah, we talked to him, his manager. And Lynch goes, if I can't call you direct, I ain't calling you, especially if I went to war with you. What on earth?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's one of the weirdest things that I heard. I remember that. And my first thought is, dude, you're a leader of men. You're the quarterback. And you're telling me people can't just reach out to you instantly. You can't give them your number directly. Like, dude, you share a locker room with, you bleed with these guys. You sweat with these guys. You go to war with them every single week. And you make yourself unavailable that way? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not because that gets into the he said, she said type thing, and I don't really get into that because that's just high school drama. That's people just not really, I guess, vibing with each other, liking. We know the history of Richard Sherman and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll in there, but in terms of the Pete Carroll Russell Wilson uh, feud, I guess you could say, or whatever. I agree with Justin. It's a little disappointing. It's the similar feeling I had. I mean, this was more amplified because it was my quarterback and my team. But Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, when all those reports started to come out, and it we start to understand more that in this league, you can win together and have incredible success together, but not really be on the same page and not really get down with each other. We saw that with MJ and Scottie Pippen apparently, and Dennis Rodman too, that they didn't really hang out off the court or whatever together. Um, we know that with Bill and Tom. Bill really kept everybody at an arm's distance, and we're seeing it now. Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. It's a sad thing to see that they can't get along together. But I mean, like they always say, winning solves anything, and winning heals all wounds. So yeah, but it's not. It's just I think it's really petty to be seeing shots taken, especially. I mean, Pete Carroll. I mean, come on, man. You're the head coach of your team. You should be worrying about your team, not really take because he knows what he's doing. Like, let's be honest. He knows what he's doing. He's taking a shot. He's taking a public shot too. Like, this isn't just behind the scenes where he's talking just to Gino, where he can hype Gino up and bring Russell down, but behind the scenes and nobody's hearing about it. But when you're in the public in media sessions and you say that everybody knows you're going to be talking about Russell Wilson, and it's just unnecessary, especially where Russell. I mean, why are we kicking the man while he's down already? Like, come on.
Fighting
Like,
over wristbands over here.
yeah, but like let's just show some good character, Pete Carroll. Let's move on. Like, just move on.
Yeah,
The
it's
guy's in
true.
his
Your,
glory.
your team's on the top on the top of the NFC West right now. There's no reason for you to be looking down. You should be looking ahead. You
Like they
know.
say, never punch down. You
Yep.
should never punch down.
Bingo.
But one thing that I want to bring up, and I think is actually the biggest news, and I mean, John brought up injury news, and that this is the biggest injury news. I completely disagree with that. There's a guy by the name of I don't know if you guys have heard of him. You might have. He
Can I
plays
take
up.
a guess?
He plays up in New York. But a lot of people forget about that he plays in New York. His name is Josh Allen. Yeah, he's dealing with a UCL injury in his elbow. I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently there's all these CLs that I don't even know about that in your body. But he got injured late in the game last week while throwing the ball. It was a very weird angle. It looked really bad. Uh, and he is day to day right now. So I think that's the biggest story of the week. I mean, because if Josh Allen's down, do you guys have any faith in the Buffalo Bills?
Well, big picture, he's day to day, did not practice yesterday on Wednesday. Josh Allen's one of those guys where I feel like he'll just be back sooner rather than later, whether it's next week. If he doesn't play this week against the Vikings, quite honestly, that could still be, let's say they lose that game, they'll be just fine. They're going to climb back in the division. They're the best team here. In the big picture, one loss right now in the season, I don't think that's going to affect Buffalo's seeding, just because of the fact I don't think the Jets and the Dolphins are going to be able to
You know that they're 0
outdo
and
them.
2 right now in the division, right?
Yeah, I don't see that keeping up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, if I were the Bills, just for this week, who do they have this week?
Vikings.
The Vikings. With I guess not a exactly dominant AFC East. Like every year, you're pretty much you're better than everybody in that division. You've had some tough losses, but the Bills still know they're better. I would proceed on this road of caution with Josh Allen because a UCL injury is no joke as a baseball player. That's the result of a Tommy John surgery, and that'll sideline a pitcher for a whole season. So I would proceed with caution. You don't want him to overthrow and mess that thing up any further because you have higher aspirations than the Jets right now. So you have higher aspirations than what the Vikings initially expected themselves doing this season. They have Super Bowl hopes, and you're not going to do that if your quarterback can't throw the football. So I'd probably give him a week.
And you know what, Justin? This is kind of funny. So coming into the season, I talked up Tua and said he'd have a very good year. Not the season he's had. I'm still surprised by the level he played at. But Britton told me, look, John, there is a reason the Dolphins signed Teddy Bridgewater because they don't fully believe in that quarterback. So Teddy's there to make him compete. They need an extra quarterback, an extra arm. And then one commenter said, okay, so if that's the case, then why did the Bills sign Case Keenum? He's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. Does that mean they don't actually believe in Josh Allen? And it's funny to me because this week they got the Vikings at home. And who was the last quarterback to take the Vikings deep in the playoffs? Case Keenum, one of their greatest playoff moments. And so I look at the UCL. You talked about as a baseball player. Ben Roethlisberger had these issues. I'm pretty sure in his UCL. I'm about to look it up. And he had so many different tendons. They're detached. They had to reattach them surgically, which sounds disgusting. And I look at Josh Allen. He's so young. And Brandon's talked about it before. He hasn't fully protected his body. If I'm Buffalo, he is the knight in shining armor here. Let Case Keenum beat the Vikings this week because he surely can with offense. And then next week, you've got
Browns.
the Browns and then the Lions.
So I just want to, comment on that little pot shot you took. So, I can't believe you just quoted I'll be kind, a YouTube commenter. When you know full damn well that it's not the same situation. Two things these things are not equal. Understand why I said they brought in Teddy Bridgewater. It's because the regime of old did not believe in Tua Tagovailoa. So there was cause to pause for me, and that there were reports out that they didn't really believe in Tua Tagovailoa. They had concerns about his health. They had concerns about his on the play field. That's why I was saying they brought in Teddy Bridgewater to compete. Everything I said was correct and factual. That's the truth. Because again, his injuries came about. We saw it. He missed 3 straight games. Did he not? It happened, and they lost 3 straight. So the Josh Allen with Case Keenum, okay, yeah, they have a good backup quarterback, but that's not equal. Everybody knows the Buffalo Bills are fully in Josh Allen, and that's their quarterback of the future. It was different with Tua. The regime, and there were reports out that they didn't have 100% full trust in Tua Tagovailoa. So,
hey, look, the fact
say.
of the matter is, the Browns will still be starting Jacoby Brissett, and Case Keenum could have an opportunity these next 2 weeks to get revenge on 2 of his former teams, in the Vikings and the Browns. And when given the coaching, the defense, and the all-around talent on the offense, I think Case has the potential to lead them 2 wins. And then after that Browns game at the Lions, the Patriots, the Jets, and the Dolphins. So when when Josh Allen's getting closer to full strength in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully full strength, you can have your quarterback right when the schedule is going to start to heat up at the end of the year. And that's huge.
Yeah, that's one of the luxuries that the Bills have is that they know if Josh Allen can't play for a week or two, that they have a deep enough team to find a way to win games. Like they can go 2-0 if Josh Allen misses 2 games. I have no doubt in my mind about that. So they're in a decent spot right now. Give Josh Allen all the rest he needs. Let him take care of that elbow because, like I said, this team has Super Bowl aspirations. Don't mess it up.
That's really the one thing that potentially could. So with all that out of the way, fellas.
Actually, I have one more thing.
Let's hear it.
Because we didn't hear an injury. Matt Stafford was put onto concussion protocol. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Didn't
If the Rams are already in a lot of crap as it is, to potentially be out of a quarterback going up against a divisional opponent in Arizona, it just seems to be getting worse and worse for Arizona. They're saying he's day to day, so maybe he might be on track to play, but still, with all the concussion stuff going on this year, still definitely makes me question my pick for the Rams this week.
And I had the Rams winning 11 games going into this year.
I think
I was,
we
I was
all
the
have
lowest
them
one on
winning a
them
lot.
too. I was the lowest one. They said they'd be a first round exit.
Mm.
And let's be honest, Matthew Stafford this year has not been good. The Rams have many problems. I feel Stafford's play may be a symptom of the bad offensive line losing a
No,
couple of key
no,
vets.
no, 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 it's not. Matthew Stafford is not the reason that this offense is bad. So you can just stop that and cut that right there. It's the offensive line. That's the number one reason. And then the no run game. It is not Matthew Stafford's fault. Are you kidding me? I can literally pull up the numbers that show when he is not pressured, he is putting up his numbers that he was putting up last year. And when he is pressured, he is playing terrible. It is directly correlated to the offensive line. That's the number one issue. So, I mean, can we stop that?
The best
Can we stop
quarterbacks
that?
play out of structure.
No, but can we stop that though? Right?
I'm just being honest, the
Because
best ones
again,
play out of structure
right.
well.
Wait, hold on. Because again, you just said best quarterbacks to play that. Patrick Mahomes had no offensive line in the Super Bowl. How many points did he put up? He put up 9 points and got blew the hell out. You cannot win in this league without an offensive line. You have said that too to me many weeks ago, a couple months ago. You said that to me. So now you're changing your point that great quarterbacks can play without a terrible offensive line. Name me them.
Jalen Ramsey said after their loss against the Buccaneers, the defense should not have to go back on the field. Simple. Got to have dogs who are going to get it, go and get it. We shouldn't come to the sideline after a big stop like that. And our coaches or the other side or whoever yelling us, we're going to need y'all one more time.
Nope.
We
You
gonna to
don't.
need. This is broken English. Like what the f? We just made a big stop, turnover on downs with a minute and some change left, and no timeouts for nobody. So it's pretty safe to assume the defense of the Rams is fed up that their offense can't stay in the field, and this has been an issue with the Packers, the Steelers, and a few
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
playoff
yeah,
teams.
but you don't say that. You should not. You don't say that, especially when you got put back out on the field and had a chance to win the game again, and you came up short. So you don't say that.
And one hell of a leader, and Cameron Hayward responded and basically was like, I can only speak for our team, but when our offense comes up short, you just think as a defense, we got to do more. And
Yeah.
so there's really a shift in whether or
Yep.
not it's the mindset they have or the way they come out to media. Jalen Ramsey's frustration can't boil into you calling out your offense to the public.
You don't do that. Don't do that. Especially in that situation where you gave up the game. I mean, yes, the offense didn't get it done, but Bucks defense showed up. Rams defense, you just stopped the Buccaneers offense from getting in the end zone. You got another chance to do it again, 44 seconds. It's on you guys, buddy. So, and you're the Jalen, especially when you're the one who's playing how many yards off of Scotty Miller and letting them just go right. I mean, but okay. Yeah, let's move on, John.
Let's move on. I feel bad for Sean McVay. And kudos to him for coaching after his grandfather had passed away earlier in the week. I'm a huge advocate of what McVay has been able to do, in spite of a team that has, not a very good future given their first round pick status. So, BCAP and I had a special bet coming into this week. It was Seahawks versus Buccaneers in Germany. I had the Seahawks winning. BCAP has his money on Tom Brady driving at the end of the game to lead his team to victory. This is Sunday morning, 9:30, so be sure to set your clock up and early so you can watch the game with us. But man, we have to start with that today, not the Thursday night matchup, which we'll get to. I had the Seahawks winning, and this week of Pick'em, I think if Tampa Bay does win, it's going to be because they neutralized the run. Vita Vea had a great week last week, especially in the second half of that game. And I think if there's any realm where the Buccaneers can take this game from a better team in Seattle, it's because one of the best run defenses is going to be able to neutralize what has been a very formidable rush.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. I'm gonna roll with Tampa on this game though, for the simple fact that I feel like that was a big win for Tampa last week, beating the Rams. While albeit it was an ugly game, nothing was pretty about it. They escaped that game by the skin of their teeth. But as you said, if they stop the run here, and you're gonna have to make Gino beat you. And as good as Gino has been this year, you're gonna go based off his track record for the rest of these past couple of years. You want the ball in his hands. You want to see him beat you. You don't want them to run all over you. So I'm gonna roll with Tampa. I think they'll be successful moving the football.
John, 9. The Seahawks are not. That's no in German, if you didn't know. All right. Because they're playing in Germany. I happen to be 25% German. So I guess that's a good little luck for me. Yes, my guy, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. The GOAT, the best in the world. John says, again, he says they have no shot at winning this game, that the Seahawks should actually blow out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It shouldn't even be close in John's mind. But for some reason, some weird reason, I look on ESPN and Matchup Predictor, 83.3% says Tampa Bay is going to win. They're favored by 2.5 points. So for some odd reason, everybody else is saying, John, what are you doing, guy? It's the GOAT. You don't bet against the GOAT, all right? Because when it comes down to it, he's the greatest leader to ever play in any sport. He's the clutchest player to ever play in any sport. And when the money's on the line, when everything's pushed to the middle of the table, I and everybody else should put their money on Tom Brady to get it done.
You would be in debt if you did that every single week this year.
Mm-hmm. How would I look over the past 20 plus years, though?
You remember the
And
2019 season?
you'd be betting against. So let's get let's get down to the nitty gritty.
As a Patriot
right, John?
fan, do you remember the 2019 season?
Stop. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's get to the real question, right? Of what John is doing here. John, I'm going to ask you a direct question. And I don't want any slickness. I don't want any spin-offs. I don't want any diverting. I want you to answer it. Should Tom Brady walk away at the end of the season? Is he washed?
No, he's not washed, but his team stinks.
Okay, but why
do I think he should walk away? Yeah.
Huh?
Do I think he should walk away? Yes.
So you think he should retire at the end of the season? Why?
Colin Cowherd had an interesting spin on this, where he said, you don't retire when you're great at what you do. I think Tom Brady's good, but at his age, on the team he's playing for, I feel like, given all he has accomplished, if I were in that position, now keep in mind I am not, so I'm really just talking out the wazoo here, I think I'd walk away at 46 years old.
Walk away. So you're saying he's not great anymore. So I ask you, you see a dip in accuracy then?
The best quarterbacks in the NFL play out of structure. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Okay, I'm not asking that question. Stop
and what that does
the
is
narrative. Tom Brady can't
play
out of that. If that's the case, then Tom Brady is not the greatest of all time. If that's what we're determining what a quarterback should be. Tom Brady plays a certain style of football. We're not going to change the narrative just because he can't run and move and be mobile. That doesn't mean he's not great. I'm asking you a direct question. Is he still accurate? Has he dipped on accuracy level?
No, but his team's worse and they lack explosiveness,
but
so he's
I'm
less
asking
effective.
Specifically, John, stop again. You're being slick. I'm asking you specifically about Tom Brady. We're focusing in and honing in on Tom Brady, okay?
I can tell.
Okay, again, but that's where I want this discussion to go.
Yeah.
Has he lost any anticipation?
No.
No. All right. Is he still one of the greatest leaders of all time?
We're just talking about performance here, my friend.
Just answer the question, John.
That's what I'm saying, John. Just answer the direct questions.
I saw him berating his offensive linemen like they're his kids after not practicing for an entire week of the Steelers.
Why was he doing that?
Because they were giving up a lot of
because
pressure.
What was he dealing with off the field that we finally got a realization of what he was dealing with off the field? His teammates spoke about it. He was going through a divorce. Nobody knew that he was going through a divorce at the time. We thought something was going on. We thought they were trying to fix it. I wasn't going to comment on it at the time, but now that it's been publicized and finalized, and He was going through a divorce. Let's go past Sunday then. Did you see him berate his offensive line or any of his players last Sunday? No,
Not that
you
I can
didn't.
recall.
No. Why is that then? Is he not on edge anymore, maybe? Is he not having to deal with all this pressure and stress, extra stuff that's dealing off the field that we have as humans and men, we have no idea what that feels like going through a divorce. We don't. With kids, with all that money and all that stuff, we don't know what that feels like and what they're going through. So all that he felt rejuvenated on Sunday. He looked different. He wasn't berating. So I'm going to chalk that up to him dealing with something off the field and being angry and upset and on edge at every moment. And his offense, his players around him kind of spoke about that. They hinted at it. So again, I'm good leadership wise. He's not lost any leadership. Can he still manipulate the pocket better than anybody, even without his mobileness? Yes. Is he still clutch? Yes. Has nobody seen more defenses and schemes than Tom Brady? No, nobody has. So again, the only thing I can give to you is arm strength has maybe dipped a smidge because he's 45. But can he still chuck the ball down the field? Yes. It's still an above average arm. It's just not what it once was. He's still got a better arm than what Drew Brees had towards the end, what Peyton Manning had towards the end. So again, he's second in the league in passing yards. He's got a 65% completion percentage, which is higher than your boy Josh Allen and higher than Aaron Rodgers and just behind Patrick Mahomes. I try to understand. So why would he walk away when he fundamentally is still playing great football? He's not playing just good. He's playing great. Because if he was playing just good, this team would not be 4-5. They wouldn't. They'd be worse because he'd be turning the football over, which he leads the league in NFL in touchdown to interception ratio.
Number one, Tom Brady is also the greatest of all time. And as a sports fan, I feel like once you're clearly the best at what you did, and you're in a situation where you're sold in a position that is not very good, in terms of position, I mean the franchise you're playing for, the coaching, the support. Generally speaking, the Buccaneers are a bad football team. And what I said before was Tom Brady's not a top 3 or 4 quarterback because he hasn't played out of structure the same way a Mahomes or an Allen have, and clearly can still do with their age. And then you said, hold up, does that mean we're going to rewrite things and say he's not the greatest of all time? That's not what I'm saying, because greatness, that's about accolades, it's about accomplishments. And performance is about what you're capable of. And why this matters is because Tom Brady's in a bad situation, he can't just carry them like he's a prime 25-year-old Patrick Mahomes, the way he has shown the ability to do so under pressure. And so that's what I'm getting at here. Because Tom Brady's in a bad situation, why not walk away now? Because when I look at a Michael Jordan, and he had his last 2 years in Washington when he was 40 years old on a bad team, it does really feel necessary. It does.
Because timeout. Michael Jordan wasn't playing at the level that he once was. Tom Brady is still playing at the level that he can play at, greatness. And you say greatness is based off accomplishment accolades. No, it's not. Stop changing the narrative. There is no saying somebody's the GOAT and saying somebody's the BOAT, the best of all time because of their skill set is such an ignorant statement. Greatest of all time. Everything is put into that. It's accomplishments, it's accolades, it's what you did on the field, it's your skill set, your talent level, everything. Don't say greatness is just accolades, because Tom Brady is still put up. He was it was second in the league yet last year in MVP voting. Go ahead, Justin. You wanted to say something, Justin.
So I feel like a better question, because I don't think any of us can say the guy's washed. The only reason anybody would say he should walk away is because of his age. Outside of that, not taking that into account, should he walk away from the Bucs?
Yeah,
that
should,
well,
if he's going to continue playing.
I don't think he's. I looked at his contract, and it's a weird contract. Because they're always weird contracts, but I don't know how the contract plays out. If you're telling me he's gotten out after the season, he would probably consider it. I wouldn't be surprised if he would consider that. I wouldn't like it specifically just as a fan speaking. I don't like it when these great players play for different teams that I really hated it obviously when Brady left the Patriots, but now that you've just picked two, the Bucs should be your final ride unless you're going back to New England, which I don't know if that's even in the cards, but it would be one hell of a story, wouldn't it? For me personally, right? I don't think he's going to walk away. I think before I did say a couple weeks ago or a month ago that I think he's going to walk away at the end of the season, but I think that was strictly due to what was going on in his home life. Now that has been finalized and ended, um, I think Tom Brady is going to stay. I think Tom Brady's not going to retire because I think that was the only thing holding him back. I think this man loves football than anybody can ever imagine. I think it's his number one passion in life, besides his kids. So for John to say, I mean, I don't like it when anybody says, right, that he's so great, why not just walk away? And it's the simple answer is you don't get it. Because and it's not a slight, I'm not disrespecting anybody because I'm not on that level either, but none of us get it because we're not on that type of level. We don't understand unless you are like Michael Jordan is probably the only person that can really relate to what Tom Brady is doing. That's really it. Okay. So everybody else really just has to look at it and be like, we don't understand the level of it, just everything that he puts into it, and that he still believes that he is great. If he wasn't playing at a great level, I think he would walk away. But I believe that he still believes that he can play at a great level for years to come. So I don't think he's walking away. And I think people should really stop saying like, walk away just because you've done everything. Like that you just don't get it then. You really don't, because what's my favorite quote for Tom Brady, right? And then we can move on. Is from the Brady 6 documentary back in like '09 or whatever, where the guy asks him, Tom, which one's your favorite ring? And he just answers, the next one. And that literally just portrays Tom as everything. It's always about what's next. He's the greatest winner because he wants it more than anybody else. So let's go, Tom. Can't wait for Sunday morning, baby. Oh, I cannot wait, John.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Best Amp. When it comes to sports betting, guys, all of us want to make the most money, want to get the best bang for our buck. And with the Best Amp app, what they'll provide you with is the best odds across the sports betting market. All you have to do is download their completely free app and sign up for any of the variety of sportsbooks out there so that you can give yourself an edge in the game. Be sure to bet like a pro with the Best Amp app. Not only is it free, but it provides so many other perks. Custom betting trackers. If you want to sell any picks, and there's no commission, royalty free. You get the entire cut. Thank you to Best Amp for supporting our show. And as always, let's get back to it.
By the way, you guys never discussed the stakes of your bet.
We did $25. Remember?
Oh, that was it. $25.
Yeah, put it in.
And if
put it in,
the Buccaneers lose the Seahawks, B Cap will owe me $10 because that's how confident I am in my Hawks. Call me crazy, but I've watched football this year. I'm putting money on them, and if I got money on them, I'm going to back them up the same way you back up Baker, but the difference is you do it for free. I do it for $10, okay? Anything else with this Buccaneers matchup versus the Seahawks guy? I can read off the injury report this week. Big-time shout-out to Cameron Brate, who had a neck injury versus Steelers. He's a full participant in practice. Mike Evans is limited with the ribs and ankle. Julio Jones, of course, still not practicing with his knee. Whereas for the Seahawks, man, they're basically at full strength. The only guys that weren't full participants in practice were Marquise Goodwin and one other player I'm trying to find right now. I think the Seahawks are just... Oh, Antoine Winfield's come back as well for the Buccaneers. Full participant in practice. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
So tonight's game, we got to talk about it. Thursday night football, fellas. It's pick'em time. Yes, it is. We got the Atlanta Hawks. I'm watching the Hawks last night. The Atlanta Falcons going to Carolina to face off the Panthers. Big time news in terms of injury updates coming to this game. For the Hawks, AJ Terrell is out with a hamstring injury.
The Falcons.
The Hawks, I just did again. The Falcons. The wrong bird. They're all birds, okay? No AJ Terrell, whereas for the Panthers, Laviska Shenault, Derek Brown, Brian Burns, and Matthew Ioannidis are all questionable. I have the Panthers winning this game. I think they're going to ride high off their energy, with the exception to the Bengal game because that was an utter obliteration on the road. I do think this Panthers team, with no AJ Terrell, can certainly beat Atlanta at home.
Yeah, they can, but they won't. I think Cordell Patterson being back, I think the Atlanta Falcons offense is a lot better now. Yeah, AJ Terrell's out, but I think they'll be just fine. I think Atlanta goes into Carolina and bursts their bubble.
Yeah, no, I'm with John. I think that the Panthers are going to win this game. Their last game was just what 2, 3 weeks ago, and it was I believe 37-34 into overtime, and that was in Atlanta. This one is in Carolina. Panthers defense is really good. Uh, I'll take the Panthers.
Next game up, the Vikings are going to Buffalo. We're uncertain about Josh Allen's health. No update as to whether or not he practiced today on Thursday. It's only 9:51 Eastern Standard Time. It's a toss-up for me here between Minnesota and Buffalo. I want to start off with you guys because I'm going to have to take this next minute to really consider this.
Okay. I'll take this for the simple fact that Buffalo hasn't lost a game at home, and I don't see it happening again. So even with Case Keenum under center, as I mentioned before, I do feel like the Buffalo roster is a lot deeper that they can sustain a hit of Josh Allen not starting a game. They'll be okay. I could still see them putting up 25 plus points. Maybe Devin Singletary really gets some action and Naeem Hines sees the ball a little bit. Stephon Diggs is going to be Stephon Diggs. They'll be okay. Bills.
Yeah. On Monday when we talked, I said that the Minnesota Vikings are going to lose 3 straight games. And I completely blanked on the Josh Allen injury. But with that being said, I'm going to stick with my 3 straight games. I think the Bills are going to win. I'm not super confident in the pick. Uh, I think the Vikings can easily steal this game. And not even really steal it. They can easily win this game. But I'll pick the Bills right now.
A lot of key injuries in this matchup for both sides. Garrett Bradbury is not practicing with an ankle. Same thing with Cameron Dancer, Dantzler. Dalvin Tomlinson did not practice as well at the calf, and Adam Thielen was limited with his ankle. Whereas for the Bills, Tremaine Edmonds did not practice. Same with Von Miller because he's an old veteran. Jordan Poyer also did not practice, and neither did Gregory Rousseau with an ankle. So that's a lot of key players right there. I'm going to roll with the Vikings this week. I feel they roll in, and with no Josh Allen, they pull it out. Kirk Cousins, big time game. It's 1 o'clock. And honestly, I think this Vikings team, fellas, have become underrated. TJ Hawkinson's injected a lot to this offense. Justin Jefferson is a top 3, top 4 receiver in the league, and their defense is playing much better than last year. It's going to be a close game, and I have the Vikings winning. With no Josh Allen. If Allen plays, the Vikings are losing.
Question. Does a Minnesota win make you guys think at them a little differently, even if Josh Allen isn't on the field?
No.
No? Okay.
If it were prime time, maybe I'd reconsider. Next game up, Detroit is going to Chicago. Coming into this year, I came out with a strong statement saying, you know what, fellas? The Bears should start to take notes of what the Lions are doing in their rebuild, doing everything before they get the quarterback, peppering the offensive line, the weapons. The defense is coming on a little bit. Jeff Okudah this year playing better, and Aiden Hutchinson coming in. The fact of the matter is, the Bears look to be doing an awesome job so far in helping their young quarterback. Their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, has gotten better and better each and every single week. And I think this is going to be an absolute showdown between the two best teams, or the second and third best teams in the NFC North. And honestly, I have the Chicago Bears coming on home and getting their 4th win of the season. I'm a huge supporter of Matt Eberflus and this group. I think Chase Claypool is going to get himself his first touchdown as a Bear this week. In terms of injuries, the Lions don't have too many notable ones. Chase Lucas, cornerback, Josh Reynolds, Jamal Williams, Kirby Joseph, Afidu Malafano, a safety, Matt Nelson, their tackle, and then Frank Ragnow is a limited participant, their center with a foot injury. Oh, and one more. DeAndre Swift has an ankle and shoulder, limited participant as well. I do think Chicago takes this one, though.
I feel like the Bears have been playing too good. Justin Fields seems to really be finding himself. And I remember a couple weeks ago, we had a conversation about those quarterbacks in that same draft class and who's a bust, who's not. And all of us seem to be out on Justin Fields. Over these last couple of weeks, that narrative has changed a lot. I'm going to roll with the Bears this week.
I'm gonna take the Bears. It's in Chicago. I really want to take the Lions because I think the Lions can easily win this game. But I'll take the Bears right now because it does seem like uh the offensive coordinator of the Bears, I forget his name is escaping me. John just
Luketzky.
said it. Piketty.
Yep.
All right. It doesn't. I don't know if he's gotten better. I just think that over the last couple of games, especially it started with the Patriots game because they played a different style of offense before that. They've really just started to hone in on Justin Fields' strengths. They're playing like his college offense. They're really, getting him in bootlegs, using his legs to roll out of the pocket more, doing more option plays and RPOs and stuff like that. I don't know if the narrative has quite changed. I think that he's doing a good job right now because of the offense that he's playing in right now. But once the defenses get a lot more tape on it and they start figuring him out, he's going to have to take his game to the next level, and then we're going to see what he really is after that. But I'll take Chicago for right now because they're rolling pretty good, and the Detroit Lions defense, I don't know.
Do we owe Chicago, I already mentioned this, a real apology?
No, I don't. I don't
Yes,
apologize.
no, I think we do. I really think we do. I think they started off the season while not pretty, um, better than we initially expected, and right now this team is playing better. I think they are a better team than the Lions right now. I think this team going up against Green Bay a second time around has a better chance to beat them. I think, like I said, they're a lot better than what we initially expected.
They're better than the Packers.
Yeah.
Both of them, honestly, at this point. That's not shot Aaron Rodgers. That's shot literally everything else in that Packers organization. Next game up, Jaguars are going to Kansas City where they are a smooth 9.5-point underdog. Trevor Lawrence this year, fellas, has had highs and some incredible lows at the same time. I look at this game. I also did the skip over the Titans versus Broncos. We'll get to that next. I had the Chiefs winning this one. I can see a little bit more Kadarius Toney this week, a guy that they schemed early and often in that Titan matchup on Sunday night. And I think it's rather straightforward. The Chiefs are the best team in football right now, and given the Jaguars struggle mightily offensively, throwing the football late in the fourth quarter, I can see Trevor Lawrence having himself not his best performance. And it's strictly just because Steve Spagnuolo is going to throw different coverages and different looks at him. This Chiefs defense tends to get better and better as the year goes on. And while Jacksonville has run the football very well as of late, I'm really bought into this Chiefs defensive front.
I think Jacksonville's going to surprise us this week. Not in a win. I think they do lose. I think the Chiefs find a way to win this game. But I do think it'll be closer than that. What was the
Is this your best
spread?
pick of the week? 9.5 points.
You know, yeah, I think so. I'm going to roll with that. I really do believe that this is going to be a matchup that we're going to see for quite a while. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a spectacular quarterback, so we can get used to this duel of T. Law versus Mahomes, and I think this is going to be a good taste of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I don't. Could it be a close game? Yeah, sure, but I think the Chiefs are kind of starting to fire on all cylinders right now. So Kansas City, stand up, baby. Let's go.
Next game up, the Broncos are going to Tennessee where they're 2.5-point underdogs. Coming off a bye week, the Titans had their bye 2-3 weeks ago. Look, they were this close to going on a 6-game winning streak, fellas, after starting off the year 0-2. And I've said it time and time again, we can't sleep on Mike Vrabel because the best coaches are able to win and always maximize the talent that they have on the roster. Derrick Henry this year has been nothing short of awesome Derrick Henry style. And given the fact they've been starting a rookie quarterback who is as raw as they get, man, I would not be surprised if either team wins this game. The Broncos played their best game of the season, I felt like, in London versus the Jaguars. And then, of course, with these Titans, they're literally so close to being not only the number one seed in their division in the AFC South, but literally right to the number one seed in the conference for a second straight year. You talk about the injury report for this game, which I'm desperately trying to pull up, and for some strange reason, Google is not helping me. I'm trying to see if Ryan Tannehill's going to play or not.
He's
Google's
currently
killing me.
questionable.
He's currently questionable along with Bud Dupree, who did not practice with a hip injury, Tyler Tart, who did not practice with an illness, and Jeffrey Simmons, who did not practice with an ankle. Ryan Tannehill also has an ankle injury where he's a limited participant. I'm going with the Broncos this week, fellas. I feel like, especially if Jeffrey Simmons or Taylor Tart is not 100%. That is their defense as a whole, those two guys. I can see this Broncos group running the ball more effectively with Latavius Murray. And honestly, I think we've slept heavily on what Greg Dulcich can bring as a very interesting tight end option. I thought he played great his first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Broncos also. Coming off of a bye week, I'd like to believe this is me just betting on Russell Wilson, and just to say that this first half that we saw out of him is so unusual that maybe that they turn the ship around in the second half. I'm gonna roll with the Broncos. I think they get off to a nice start.
That makes all three of us clean sweep. I'm taking the Denver Broncos too. I just think their defense is playing at a really good level. And with the questions of Ryan Tannehill being healthy or not, too much for me. So give me the Broncos.
How would you guys grade Malik Willis's first two starts?
Yeah.
Yeah, against the Texans and the Chiefs on primetime football on the road.
Not great, not great at all.
Had
I
some
mean,
drops in there to play fair.
yeah, it's also small sample size. I guess for a rookie, playbook's not entirely open, but he threw for 55 yards in his first game. I don't know what is there to go about grading him.
What's that sound you're making, dude? It's the weirdest thing. Come on. What are we doing here, dude?
I don't know. You're asking me to grade.
Yeah, it's tough to grade somebody that literally threw for 55 yards and then 80 in his second game. Don't know what he is as a passer. Didn't get to see it.
That's what he is.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it's not really the passing; it's the ability to read defenses and coverages.
True.
So, Bray, that's your response? That's your grade? Yeah. You
Yeah.
sound like the Josh from Drake and Josh. Not Josh, the guy who comes to the door at the slime and he opens it. He's like, no. That's what you sound like right now. Next game up. I don't think it was really that funny, although I'm laughing at my own
That's
joke.
fucking funny, dude.
We have the Cleveland Browns going to Miami, where they're 3.5-point underdogs. Deshaun Watson, well, I don't even talk. He is not important. The Browns currently going to this week have a couple of players that are pretty important that were not practicing. Joel Bitonio, that was not injury related. That was rest. Same with Javanian Clowney, Amari Cooper, and Myles Garrett. Now keep in mind, Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa did not practice, and Jack Conklin, the right tackle, was limited to going off Wyatt Teller, Denzel Ward, who's in concussion protocol, and Greg Newsome with an oblique injury. Whereas the Dolphins, Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard, Austin Jackson, and Hunter Long, their third string tight end or the second string, did not practice. And Raekwon Davis, their D tackle, and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle was a full participant, as was Christian Wilkins. Raekwon Davis was limited with a knee injury. I look at this matchup, and I see a Dolphin team that is yet to lose this year with Tua finishing the game. And I'm telling you right now, the Browns need to find a new defensive coordinator. J-Rad, you talked up Myles Garrett last week. This unit should be so much better. It's a lot like the Green Bay Packers. And I think on Sunday, the Dolphins are going to light them up for over 30 points. And this Dolphins defense with Bradley Chubb, a second week in the system, is only going to get better between him, Jalen Phillips, and screw it, Melvin Ingram. He betrayed my Steelers, but I like the Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb combination. I think Christian Wilkins will be just fine. He's one of the best D tackles in the game. So I got the Dolphins taking this one and covering the 3.5 points spread.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Miami. I think last week they escaped by the skin of their teeth too. Cleveland's a lot better. This was a tough game for me to pick because I believe Nick Chubb can go absolutely crazy. Amari Cooper has been a whole lot better this season than he was in the previous. So I part of me wants to roll with Cleveland, but I've been hyping up Miami way too much to go against them now. So I'm gonna go with Miami.
Yeah. So I have Miami finishing 4-4 to end the season. This is one of the games that I have them winning, so I'm going with Miami.
7-0 to start the season with Tua Tagovailoa. How's that, Brandon? You bought in?
No,
At your Tua stock?
no,
Why not?
I just don't know. I mean, he got injured like I said he was going to. He could still get injured later in the season. I'm not wishing it. We know what it is, and I have to see him in cold weather games and in the biggest games of the year.
That's a little bit what I'm worried about. The number one overall ranked prospect coming in 2023. Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama, he is a really special talent. I think he's a mix. He's somewhere in between as a level of prospect. Kyler and Russell Wilson, he's a little bit undersized in Tua. And dude, I just get so worried about those 6'1", 6 foot quarterbacks that they can actually take those hits and stay healthy. And with Tua, like you said, that is really my biggest concern with him. But ultimately, I think he's going to stay healthy in this game.
I think this is a huge game for Miami for the simple fact if Josh Allen doesn't play,
Mm,
they have an opportunity to
mm.
take sole possession of first place in the AFC East. And if I'm Miami, I'm doing everything in my power to secure a home playoff game.
Mm.
You need to win this one.
You do. I think a home game in Miami would set them up in prime position to go on a run last like the Bengals. Next game up, Houston at New York. B-Cap, these are, of course, my favorite and J-Ray's favorite teams going head-to-head. Daniel Bellinger, he had a terrible eye injury a few weeks ago. He did not practice still. Same with Evan Neal, the rookie right tackle. And Kenny Galladay, per usual, limited participant. I can't believe Matthew Stafford made him all that money. It still just befuddles me. Richie James, full participant coming off a concussion. Whereas for the Texans, a couple of very key injuries at the wide receiver front. Brandon Cooks did not practice with a wrist. Nico Collins with a groin was limited. And Philip Dorsett was limited with an ankle. And Dameon Pierce, the engine that makes this Texans offense go, was a limited participant with a chest and shoulder injury, but he's got that dog in his lungs. He's built different. Dameon Pierce is going to play this week, and hell, he's probably going to rush for 110 yards, even against this Giants defensive front this year that has been stout. Dude, Dameon Pierce is an absolute beast. The body control, intensity, and change of direction, he and Kenneth Walker literally are built from a different cloth. With all that being said, the Texans, they're not winning this game. They're the worst team in football right now, and it's kind of surprising. They're not actually that bad of a team with Cooks and Dameon Pierce. But, I mean, this Giants team finds ways to win close games. And as a 4.5-point favorite this week, I think they actually covered that, and it won't be that close in New York.
I think it's going to be a close one. I feel like Houston has played a lot of close games this year. A lot of them could have been wins, but ultimately I'm going to roll with the Giants. I feel like the Giants are just a better team. They're playing a much better football. Saquon's rolling. Daniel Jones, I feel like he's going to start off early with a nice connection with Darius Slayton, and the Giants are going to take off and win this game. It'll be close, like I said, because I do think Dameon Pierce is going to run all over him, and maybe Davis Mills makes a couple of plays, but I like the Giants. I've been high on the Giants all season.
Giants got a better team overall. I'll take the Giants.
Like it. Next game up. This is some BS. Vegas tripping. The Steelers are 1.5-point underdogs at home versus Saints team is starting Andy Dalton. What are we doing here? The Saints offense is a train wreck this year. And I think Andy Dalton this week is going to have 2 or 3 turnovers against a defense that's adding a couple of key veterans. And look, TJ Watt, he's not certain to play, but I think just like Dameon Pierce, he is built different. He will play, barring Mike Tomlin literally coming in saying, "Get out, you're not playing this week." And I look at the Steelers offense. They had a bye week, fellas. Boy, did I need it. And look for their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. He is gone after this year. He had a full 14 days to reset, clear his mind, and just find some semblance of a decent offense to help this young rookie quarterback. And I'll be honest, I still don't think he's going to figure it out. That's the biggest issue here in Pittsburgh. But look, I'm rolling my guys. With TJ Watt, the Steelers over the last 3 years have been elite. Without him, they've been top 3 pick worthy. And this year, they're going to start off 0-2 with TJ Watt in the mix.
I'm going with the
Don't
Saints.
do it. Don't.
I'm going with the Saints.
What are you doing here, fella?
I'm going with the Saints.
I thought you were the wise guy.
We spoke about winnable games, and this is also, while it's a winnable game for the Steelers, it's a very winnable one for the Saints. I think they feast on a rookie quarterback, which I originally had as my offensive rookie of the year, and God knows I'm wrong. I don't know if the Steelers offense is going to get rolling. I doubt it. I think the Saints just make enough plays to win this game. I'd even say like the score 16-10.
Yep. Oh, when the Saints, oh, when the Saints, oh, when the Saints go marching.
Okay, so I kind of want to skip.
Go marching.
That you don't even know the words?
You have no idea what the words are.
You don't even know the words?
Come on. Let's go. Dude, just, all right, listen. Talk to the hand because the face don't want to hear it.
This
Justin.
guy knows so many
Saying,
movie
hey,
lines and can't even know that song. That's
hey, Paisan, Paisan, Gabagool. All right, let's
this
go.
guy.
I'm taking the Saints to beat your Steelers. Yeah, there's no. Good thing to have TJ Watt back though. That's a good thing. You know, positives. You got to look on the positive side of things though, John. I like it.
Okay, so I want to skip the toilet bowl this week between the Colts and the Raiders. Unfortunately, we have to talk about it.
We
The
gotta talk about
Raiders are 6.5. They're 6-point favorites. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys in on a thought-provoking insight here, away from the football field. I look at what the Seattle Seahawks did this offseason. You trade an asset in Russell Wilson that was never going to have more value on the market. And what do? You get a ton of draft capital. And then you hit on the draft with a bunch of young, really good rookies. Then you look at the Raiders this offseason, right? They have a very strong end to the season after losing their head coach and Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett, 2 of their first-round draft picks. It was a whirlwind of 3 months for them. And they were so close to beating the Bengals, I felt like moving on to the second round of the playoffs. And so for their owner and the GM, they look at this team and say, we can compete in the AFC. This conference is wide open. And so they make a move giving up trade assets for Devontae Adams. They double down on an asset in Derek Carr, who, let's be honest, was coming off of maybe his best season since his MVP tour in 2017, 2016. The fact of the matter is, Derek Carr's value would never be higher. And instead of trading him at an all-time high to a team desperate, in need of a quarterback, a needy one, they held on to Derek Carr. And this year we're seeing a team that, number one, picked the wrong head coach. They could have went with Rich Bisaccia. He goes to Green Bay. And instead, they choose to get Josh McDaniels, who was a train wreck in Denver, goes to Indianapolis, backtracks, goes back to New England, and then after a few years as an OC, goes to Vegas. His offense is complicated, and it's very clear Derek Carr is not comfortable in it. I compare it to Kirk Cousins in Minnesota and see a totally different scenario. The fact of the matter is, I look at this Raiders franchise and say to myself, they don't actually want to win a Super Bowl. They're not actually putting themselves in position with the ambition to play at the highest of levels. And it's really disappointing that you go out and you sign Chandler Jones, this huge contract, and their owner, Mark Davis, is going to talk out of it, you know what, saying we're trying to win at the highest levels. The fact of the matter is, they had the worst offseason in football, and now they have to lay in the bed of a team that doubled down on a capped roster, and it was very flawed on defense, outside Max Crosby, and on offense in the trenches. They even declined Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option, and this has been his best season yet. I am so disappointed in this franchise that in the past was so successful, and now they feel so muddy for a variety of poor decisions. And each and every step of the way, they could have went in a different direction. They could have traded Derek Carr, they could have hired a real head coach, and they could have actually rebuilt. And instead, they thought they were going to have to win, and the most important thing in life is being honest with yourself. The Raiders lied to themselves. And so you know what? I might be sipping the funny stuff here. I really might be doing it. I'm heavily considering the Colts winning this game, but I can't. I can't. There's been too much dysfunction there. This is the one game that the Raiders can win. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if this was a competitive game. I just can't. It's too much of a joke, a laughingstock in Indianapolis. They're doing literally everything they can to get their next number 1 overall pick. And I respect the ambition, but it's so laughable and so deplorable, truth be told, that they fired a guy in Frank Reich who was really good for him to get out of there. I just can't go for Indianapolis, Justin. Their offensive coordinator is 30 years old. He was never calling plays before. This might be the worst team I'm ever going to see since the team that got Andrew Luck 10 years ago. I actually know the Browns had an undefeated season in there, so that'd probably be the worst team I've seen.
The Colts have scored 20-plus points only 3 times this season. I can't see them scoring much more than 13 this week against the Raiders. I'm going to roll with the Raiders.
I just want to play this real quick of Jeff Saturday saying something. So tell me, guys, if you can hear it.
Everybody talks about I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man, bro. I know I can lead men. I know the game of football, and I'm passionate about it. I have no fear about, are you as qualified as somebody else, bro? I spent 14 years in a locker room. I went to playoffs 12 times. I got 5 dudes in the Hall of Fame that I play with. You don't think I've seen greatness? You don't think I've seen how people prepare, how they coach, how they GM, how they work? I mean, won Super Bowls, been to 2. Here's the deal, man. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. I may be really good at it. I got no idea, but I dang sure ain't going to back down. I can tell you that. Here's the deal. Everybody talks about my...
So, yeah, I like that, though. I like the passion. I just thought maybe that would change John's opinion to be like, you know what? This guy's firing me up. I'm with Jeff Saturday, baby. Let's go. I'm going to... but
I do respect Jeff Saturday, though.
I do too. I think he's I think he's a really good guy. I think he's very knowledgeable about the sport. So yeah, but I can't. I think it's in Vegas for whatever that means. But I'm just gonna take the Vegas Raiders right now because Sam Ehlinger as your quarterback. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor's gonna play. The offensive line still hasn't gotten it together. But you know what? We're gonna see this Sunday if that passion and that drive and motivation from Jeff Saturday can translate to these guys going out and giving it everything that they've got.
The interim energy is like I would want to refer to it as. Jonathan Taylor is questionable. Talking about another disaster in Green Bay. They're hosting the Dallas Cowboys this week. I feel like one of these two teams will be the one to sign Odell Beckham Jr. Right now, there is this kind of ongoing trend in the NFL. Who's going to sign OBJ? It's this big, I feel like it's an event OBJ loves. He loves the attention. And hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that. And coming into this game, the Packers, they've lost how many games in a row now? They're 5-point underdogs at home. It's at 425. I mean, Green Bay at this point, people have said it, my buddy Joel said it, at what point for the Packers do you just start Jordan Love and move on to next season? Because you have to trade Aaron Rodgers. This team has the worst GM in football, one of the worst defensive coordinators, and just really bad vibes. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be here at this point, and it's plainly obvious he's not having fun. I honestly think if the Packers lose this game and start off 3-7, Justin, hell, start Jordan Love. Your year's over. Go get a top draft pick. And most of all, oh, wait. Let me think. So they have their first round draft. I'll double check. What do you think?
So in this game, I'm going to roll with Dallas, but what you're talking about with Green Bay, I don't think they should start Jordan Love unless it's coming down to the last 2 games of the season. This most definitely feels like this is going to be the end of a very long marriage. They're going to divorce at the end of the season. Don't make it end any more sour than it already is. I would say you start Aaron Rodgers as long as possible just to keep the relationship. I understand, yeah, you want to see Jordan Love under there just to see the game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has to be completely all out for me to see Jordan Love get a start.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys, obviously. I think the Cowboys finally get their sweet, sweet revenge on the Green Bay and Aaron, excuse me, for Aaron Rodgers kind of dominating them for the past, decade plus. I think he's 7-2 all time against them and 2-0 in the playoffs. We know kind of both those games. We got the Des Carter game and then the game with the pass to Jared Cook Jr. on the sideline and the 2 Mason Crossbar insane field goals. But yeah, this one's going to be a tough game for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I'm going Cowboys. But in terms of Jordan Love starting, I don't think you start him until you're mathematically out of the playoffs. Because then it's just like there's no reason to subject Aaron Rodgers out there to any unnecessary punishment. But there's a reason. Listen, there's a reason why they went hard in the paint for Rodgers and gave him all that money and stuff. And I don't think it's really a real question. I think we all have the answer. It's because they don't like what they're seeing in Jordan Love. They don't believe in Jordan Love as the first round pick that they took him with. So
he has to get reps.
No, but that's not even the kid. But they're not seeing it in practice. That's what I'm talking about. They're not seeing it in practice. They're not seeing it in the preseason games that he's getting. So they're just not confident. And if you're not confident with somebody on the practice field, how are you going to be confident with them when it comes game time?
Aaron Rodgers wasn't good game time until his 4th season. It takes
no,
time.
That's not the case. That's not the case. That's not the case. That's because they had Brett Favre. That's because they had Brett Favre.
And now they have Aaron Rodgers.
No, and they knew that Aaron Rodgers was a good quarterback and they liked him a lot. They obviously do not believe in him. If they did, that they would have traded Aaron Rodgers in the offseason and went with Jordan Love. They didn't. They showed you their hand.
I think their GM is a fool. I think that's the issue here. Their GM is, you know what? Actually, there's good news here. The Packers found their elixir. Is it a receiver? No. It's a safety. Jonathan Abram was waived by the Raiders. And so now the Packers are really going to bolster up this entire group by signing Jonathan Abram. I think it's a very random move for a player I loved coming out of the draft. In the NFL, he's just struggled, whether it's been due to injury and just a lack of performance based off of his first-round pedigree.
If you're Green Bay, you signed Aaron Rodgers to an extension already.
I'm just firing the GM. That's where I'm starting. Sorry.
Do you keep Aaron Rodgers?
No. I'm firing the GM. Unfortunately, they don't have an owner that can step in. That's the issue here.
Listen, this is all going to be predicated on what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, though. Like, if Aaron Rodgers wants to walk away, you're not going to be able to trade him. So it's really just predicated on what Aaron Rodgers. If Rodgers wants to keep playing, I don't know if he's going to. We don't know what's going through Aaron Rodgers' mind because he really never lets us. Even when he's speaking to the public, he speaks in a he's like John. He speaks in a very slick way. He doesn't really give you a lot, but he gives you something to bite on.
Don't compare me.
Be like, I don't like that you said about it. But yeah,
he could retire for all we know.
He could. That's what I'm saying. He could retire. He could walk away. But I don't think he's the main problem. I think we can agree on that. I think Aaron Rodgers still. He's not playing at it, but I still think that he can be an MVP candidate quarterback. I just don't think he's got what it needs around him. His offensive line's not playing well. The run game is not being used well. The receivers are too young for him. And the defense has been a complete failure. I mean, you got a bunch of Dan Orlovsky says all the time. I think they've got the most first and second round players that have played in the NFL. They've been a complete disappointment. So
I think that ties into their offense. Their offense has been so bad, it's let down their defense. It's almost been as bad as this damn light that's injecting too much light into my face, making me look like a white bowl of, I don't know, milk. Okay, next game up, fellas. Ooh, I'm so glad we're done with the Packers. Cardinals, Arizona, going to Los Angeles. Two very interesting but bad football teams. The Rams are 1.5-point favorites here. Jeez, that last week, Brandon, it was ugly. The offensive line, Matthew Stafford's dealing with the concussion. He's in protocol. I mean, what is going on right now in Los Angeles? You buy yourself a championship, and as they say, you know, that high, it lasts 4 or 5 years. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. These next 4 or 5 years are going to be ugly in Los Angeles. In the NFL, in all sports, you need balance. It's not all about splurging for the championship because you're trying to build a sustainable winner that lasts beyond that one team. You know, I think of like the Toronto Raptors. They lose a superstar talent in Kawhi Leonard, and they're able to build a program that lasts beyond that one superstar. Or the San Antonio Spurs. I know I'm comparing two completely different sports here, but when I look at the Rams franchise, they got themselves a Super Bowl, and they have an awesome coach in Sean McVay that, as we're all starting to talk about now, can leave at any point. As Sean McVay leads this team the next 2 or 3 years, they're dead in the water. You're not going to have this elite head coach, and you have no draft capital to actually improve this roster. And it's really short-sighted, in my opinion, to splurge all for the Super Bowl when you could have built a team that would have many chances of then reaching that level post to 1 or 2 years. And I look at this team now, man, it's only going to get worse given how much Stafford's getting hit, how bad he has looked this year, and just lack of balance in both the team building and the squad's going out there in the field and struggling every single week offensively.
So who's your pick?
I'll go off Arizona. I think DeAndre Hopkins has a better week after struggling last week against that Seahawks secondary. And really for Arizona, you have James Conner back from injury. I think it's only a matter of time until they start to rip off some wins. And I believe they're going to have a stronger end to this season than in Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler's first 3 years. This team is honestly a lot of fun, sure, but I think this offense is very underrated. They've struggled this year. Teams have understood how to beat them and really how to limit them, but there's just too much talent between DeAndre, Kyler, Rondale Moore, and the running backs are not bad either.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Arizona here too. They almost stole one in their home game against the Rams weeks ago, early in the season. I could see them stealing one now, kicking a team while they're low. This is the best chance for Arizona to grab a win, especially on the road here.
For me, it's all predicated on Stafford. If Stafford plays, I'll take the Rams. If he doesn't, then I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to win.
And that's the Rams' only very key injury. Brian Allen did not practice. Their center with a knee. And for Arizona, a lot of players on the injury report this week, particularly in the trenches with Rodney Hudson, Will Hernandez, and Kelvin Beachum, who all did not practice. Beachum for a knee, Hernandez chest, Rodney Hudson knee. And then Kyler Murray also did not practice with a hamstring. That's something to monitor, I guess, if you're a fantasy football owner, if you care. And then Rondale Moore, if that's the only reason you want to probably have Kyler helping you with anything. Rondale Moore also was limited with a hand injury, and per usual, J.J. Watt was on the injury report with a knee injury. He was a limited participant. Next game up, boy, have these two teams really just been ravaged by injuries this season. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to San Francisco, where they're a 7-point underdog. And it's kind of crazy because the Chargers have a better record at 5-3, and the Niners this year are getting healthier. But man, what Justin Herbert has been able to do with no weapons at all, outside Austin Eckler, one of the worst offensive lines given all of their injuries, losing Rashawn Slater for the season and one of their key guards, and Matt Filer's been banged up, and a coach in Brandon Staley who is actively sabotaging this team. Justin Herbert comes into the NFL, guys. He has Anthony Lynn as his head coach, and Anthony Lynn goes to Detroit. He has his play calling duty stripped from him. That's how incompetent he was, in all due respect. And then you get a guy in Brandon Staley who is a defensive mind, and your defense perennially has underwhelmed and not been very good in spite of so much talent on the front seven and Derwin James with Asante Samuel Jr. on the back end. And I say to myself, dude, the Chargers have to find their third head coach and a new play caller, the third one for Justin Herbert. What are we doing here? Saying that Tua Tagovailoa is better than Justin Herbert. If you give him Mike McDaniel, I promise you, Justin Herbert is talked about in the same discussion as Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. The injury report for this week, it's pretty notable per usual for the Chargers. Keenan Allen still not practicing after having a hamstring setback. DeAndre Carter, who's halfway their wide receiver number 1 right now, was dealing with a rib injury, and Khalil Mack is resting as well. Whereas for the 49ers, Eric Armstead did not practice, same as Samson Ebukam, and Deebo Samuel had a little bit of a hamstring injury, but he is practicing now.
You know, I'm not buying into no hype about the Chargers. Yeah, with Justin Herbert's doing winnings, getting some wins there. Yeah, impressive. But I've been high on the 49ers, and I've said for the longest, I don't see them losing another game for the rest of the season. I think they're going to remain hot. CMC's in the fold for another week. I think they're just catching their groove. I think they're really about to get hot, and I really don't see any other team stopping them.
Yeah. Chargers are just, I mean, you don't know really who's playing this week. A lot of injuries, so I'm going to go with San Francisco. They're the healthier team right now, so yeah.
I'm going to San Francisco as well, which I did not list. Last game, Monday Night Football. This should have been the real game that they moved the time to, whatever they want to call it. We have, why is this the primetime games this year have been so underwhelming? The Washington Commanders going to Philadelphia, where they're an 11-point underdog. I have the Eagles winning. The Commanders are just not what I want to see in primetime, ever.
I'm going to take the Eagles too, but 11-point underdog, I'll take that bet. I'll roll with Washington to at least cover.
Yeah, I think I like that. But I gotta go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah.
Chase Young, of course, has still not returned. And for this matchup, it seems like it's going to be a few more weeks until we do see Chase Young coming off an ACL injury. The Commanders are in they're in a bridge year. I feel like for them, there's no point of rushing him back when he may not be at full capacity. And this Eagles team, guys, are they the most complete team in the whole league?
I don't think there's a flaw.
Maybe the running game.
Miles Sanders has had a great season.
The run defense.
Okay.
Miles Sanders had a very good season for himself. They're coming off of a bye now, so they have that extra rest. And yeah, I don't see a hole in this team. You have maybe the best cornerback duo, an elite secondary, very good play out linebacker, insane edge rushers, and offensively, there is not a single flaw.
Yeah, I think they're running away with the 1 seed in the NFC. I mean, then again, their schedule has been pretty friendly too. And it's friendly the rest of the way.
Yeah. Never really been truly tested yet. I think they'll probably their first test, if I'm not mistaken, is the Cowboys in a week or two.
Yeah. On to the
Let's
next.
get it on.
So with our NFL pick'em out the way, I should acknowledge so far this season it's not been very kind to our boy in B-Cap. And I mentioned this because pre-show we're having a discussion. J. Ray went to the Field of Dreams about 3 weeks ago, and he was able to miss all of his picks. Couldn't set them at the airport. And in spite of that, he's been able to climb back into second place. He's sneaking up. Right now, my accuracy is at 62%, which isn't great. I like it to be closer to like 65 or 70, but I'm in first place with 84 points. J-Ray's got 70 at 52%, and B-Cap is at 69 at 51% accuracy. This last week, I'm looking at week 1. This last week was my best week, or my second best week. I got 10 picks right. And I really feel like in this point in the NFL season, we have a much clearer understanding of what teams are going to win games. Like this first 8 weeks of the year, we were really just shooting, throwing it at a dartboard, had no idea what it was going to look like. And I feel like now we're going to rip off some wins, fellas. We're going to get closer up to the 65, 70, or maybe 55% accuracy threshold.
I'm feeling good about my pick. I might have to change some of my picks here just to differentiate from you because I'm trying to get number 1. Missing that week, I would probably have 80 points by now.
Yeah, that's a pretty key thing. I think if you had that week, you'd be probably right on my tail end. So next up, I'm going to save the power rankings for last. Where will OBJ sign? This is one of the most fascinating stories in the NFL world because OBJ last year, I felt like would have won Super Bowl MVP had he not torn his ACL on turf that apparently had some issues in that Super Bowl for the Rams versus Bengals. OBJ this week had his teams listed, the teams that he would probably be most interested in going to. And it seems like his list has been narrowed down to the Dallas Cowboys. That one's probably my favorite, if I had to say so myself. The Buffalo Bills, which feels kind of weird because I already have Gabriel Davis breaking out. His former team in the Los Angeles Rams. And last but not least, the Green Bay Packers, which are in desperate need of wide receiver help. Out of those 4 teams, and maybe the New York Football Giants, if he wants to go back there, where do you see OBJ ending up?
Well, I think you're missing a team because if I'm not mistaken, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been on there too. I'm being serious. I mean, the reports are that he wants to play in a warm weather state, and he wants to play for a team that's got a chance of winning. So for me, I don't the two for me that I look at are Dallas and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay because of obviously Tom Brady. Odell has spoke highly about Tom and how always wanted to play with Tom. And Dallas because I mean it's just I think it's a match made in heaven for Odell and playing for the quote unquote America's team with that star on his helmet. So I think those are the top 2. I don't think Buffalo is in there. Kansas City now, Green Bay obviously not. The Rams, if they were winning, I think that I've always said that I thought he was going to go back to LA, but they're obviously not winning, and so he's not. I don't think he's going to think about them. So I think it's going to be Tampa Bay or Dallas. It's going to come down to, in my opinion.
So for me, as you guys know, I've said I wanted him going to Jacksonville. Obviously, that's not on his list, but I'm going to pick a team that's still not on the list because him going to Dallas just doesn't sit well with me. He's a former Giant. It's just not going to look good to me. If it's not him going back to the Giants or him going to maybe Tampa Bay to play with Tom, because that's always been alluded. He always wanted to play with Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. I mean, Bill Belichick's not in the picture there anymore, but still, Brady. I want to see him in San Francisco. He wants to play in a warm weather place. Let the stars completely align. They already got CMC. You have Brandon Ayuk. You have Deebo Samuel. You throw Odell in the mix. What can't that team do?
You know, J-Ray, my vantage point here is whatever team OBJ signs with, he is turning 30, or he might have just turned 30 a week ago. This is his last chance to fully cash out in the NFL. And when I look at the 49ers, they had Brandon Ayuk, who soon is going to be up for a contract extension, but Deebo Samuel, he just got paid. And you have Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and so many guys in this offense. Sooner rather than later, you're going to have to make a decision on Trey Lance. I feel like San Francisco would be a lot of fun, given that receiver trio, but I just feel like you wouldn't get paid there, the contract or the extension he's looking for. And it's for that very reason, I think he should go to Dallas. I think they're going to cut ties with Ezekiel Elliott this offseason. They're going to focus on Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. And given the Packers are a dumpster fire, you don't know Aaron Rodgers' status with the team long term. I would sign with the Cowboys. Great vibes, great defense. I think Jerry Jones would love OBJ the same way he loves Zeke. And the combination of CD, OBJ, Tony Pollard has been amazing this year, and Dalton Schultz at tight end would be really balanced and, quite frankly, enough for the Cowboys to go on a playoff run.
Yeah,
So
no,
I don't know. I love the 49ers look. I feel like if he's looking to win a Super Bowl, you're going.
yeah. I also think though that he's also looking at, and he won't say this publicly, obviously. Really good quarterback play, and Jimmy Garoppolo's not Dak Prescott, and he's not Tom Brady. That's why I look at those two teams. So while the warm weather checks out, good team checks out, Super Bowl aspiration checks out. I think that he's obviously, I mean, he's going to get lost in that mix with CMC, George Kittle, John didn't even mention, Debo, and Brandon Ayuk. It's just, I think he's going to get lost. With Tampa, at least they need a guy who can get big separation. They need a guy who can get explosive. Dallas, they need a guy to take a little bit more pressure off of CeeDee Lamb. They need that guy. They don't need Odell. And I think Odell wants to be somewhere where he's needed, wanted, and can have good quarterback play so he can get the numbers to get that contract extension from either another team or the team he's playing for.
No need to attack Jimmy G's QB play
There's
because
always
listen,
need. There's always need.
Debo had a career year last year with that quarterback play, and Brandon Ayuk is having his best season as well with that quarterback play. George Kittle has been fine with that quarterback play as well. So if you throw him in there, yes, I get it. There's plenty of mouths to feed in that offense, but okay, if you want to say selfishly he wants to go to one of those teams to stack up numbers, okay, then yeah, I understand. That's not going to happen in San Francisco. But if you want to put yourself in the best position to win a football game, wow, yeah, maybe he gets 5 receptions for 50, 60 yards and a touchdown. People will see your worth. If he wants to go play in the most important games, San Francisco's going to be there at the end. Go play there. Go win a Super Bowl.
I'm gonna stamp my approval. I said Dallas and Tampa Bay, but I think it's gonna be Tampa Bay. I just got a sneaky feeling because I don't think Julio has really panned out for Tom, and he was the one that went out and recruited Julio. I would not be surprised if he's doing the same with Odell, sliding in the DMs and messaging OBJ like, "Yo, come on, come to Tampa, we can do this." So I'm gonna say Tampa Bay. He's going to Tampa.
I mean, Kyle Trask may be his quarterback next year. I think he wants to go to a place where there's sustainability.
Well,
and the Packers and the Buccaneers don't provide that. Whereas
but
Cowboys,
we're not talking about next year. We're talking about the rest of the season right now. That's what we're talking about.
Generally speaking, we're trying to get at OBJ's mind. What has the quarterback, the warm weather, the weather, no state income tax?
Florida got that too.
Yeah, but here's the difference.
Everything that you just said.
Here's the difference, though. You're going to have Dak Prescott, and I feel like for him in Dallas, he's going to get paid a lot. And he will be the deciding factor, making them a true contender, because we feel like they are a piece away after trading away Amari Cooper. And you talk about the Amari Cooper trade. If they had just waited 2 or 3 days to move him, they would have gotten so much more after free agency started. And you see Christian Kirk and all these other random receivers getting a ton of money. And I feel like for them, they really can use another high-end receiver to make Michael Gallup the number 3. They'll have James Washington ideally come back sooner rather than later. That I have to check. And I feel like for that offense, OBJ takes them over the top.
I'm still riding with my pick.
Unbelievable. Okay, so here are my top 5 teams, fellas, in the NFL. Last week, I disagreed with Brandon's list at nauseum because he didn't have the Chiefs in the top 3, which I thought was unbelievable because to me, right now in football, the 2 best teams, or the 3 best, are very clear. The Chiefs, the Bills, and the Eagles. But we got to start off at number 5 and number 4. Coming in at number 5, fellas, I've got the Dallas Cowboys, the team we were just talking about. I like this Cowboys look, and I do think if they sign OBJ, I'll put them at number 4 ahead of the Miami Dolphins. At number 3, I got the Buffalo Bills. At number 2, I have, drum roll please, the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Andy Reid's old team. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this year, my initial Super Bowl pick was Bills versus Packers. The Packers prediction, well, let's just not talk about it. The Buffalo Bills, I'm still in on, but I just love the potential storyline of Andy Reid versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The franchise gets back to the Super Bowl for a second time without Andy, whereas Reid's going to look for a second Super Bowl victory as Chiefs head coach. The other awesome storyline would be Josh Allen versus the Buccaneers, right? Bills versus Brady. Unfortunately, Brady's team stinks, so we're not going to see that. So I feel the next best storyline would be Reid versus the Chiefs. And that's not why they're my top two. I believe that's the best two teams in each individual conference when you consider the entire group, the coaching, the talent, this culture, and last but not least, the quarterback play. And Jalen Hurts this year, I think, is going to have a very strong playoff run.
Yeah, I can't fault you on that top five. My only question would have been Cowboys over Vikings.
Vikings are number one, you think?
I have Vikings at 5
Oh,
over the Cowboys.
what makes you go with Kirk over Dak?
Time out. Time out. What happened to the 49ers now? Now they're just your long lost child that you don't give a
No,
crap
they're number
about?
4.
Oh, so you're kicking Miami out too?
Yeah. I'm
Oh my God.
So wait, last week you literally yelled at me and said that Minnesota's got to go. Dallas can stay, but the 49ers have to come in. Now
I have
you're
changed
kicking
my mind.
Dallas
A
out.
man can change his mind.
A man can change his mind. Football changes.
They didn't even
week to
play
week.
last week. What could you have possibly
Football-
seen to say, you know
football
what?
changes
Oh, wait, yeah,
week
you're
to
right.
week.
You're done. You're done. That's rough.
Min-
The Vikings got that big win though in
That's
Washington.
what I'm saying. Minnesota squeezed that game out. I'm looking at them a little differently. I didn't see Dallas. So I have Minnesota at number 5, 49ers 4, Bills 3. I have the same top 3 as you. Bills 3, Chiefs 2, Eagles 1.
Look,
I think that's fair.
And BCAP, let's be honest. This Vikings hot start, it is the best one since 2015, where they went 11-5 and lost in the wild
Why are you
card.
telling me this? Why are you telling me this?
Because they're like a 7-1 start.
I'm
is
the one
pretty
that
unbelievable.
had my Minnesota in my top 5 last week. Why are
But
you
if you
telling
look,
me this?
if you look at
Why
the-
are you? But no.
If you look at the
Stop
history of the
trying to-
franchise
why are you
and the
telling me
trends.
this when I had them in the top 5?
Because the last 2 times they got to a start like this, they made the playoffs. But in the 2017 season, they got to the NFC.
That doesn't
not-
answer my question. Why are you telling me?
He's just having a conversation with
No,
you.
but I had them in the top
Yeah,
5.
he's
so why?
he's just talking. He's not debating you.
No, we're talking. We're just talking. No, he's trying to debate me, but I'm telling you, I had them in my top 5 last week. So
I don't know why you're
understand.
being so aggressive with me. I'm just trying
Because
to
you're
tell
always
you.
taking pot shots, so I never know.
Oh, of
so I got
course.
to be ready at all times.
You do have to be ready at all times.
Yeah,
because you
lock
never
and
know.
loaded, baby.
I'll be honest. I think the number 5 spot in anybody's power ranking is a game of musical chairs. So while one week I have this team, the next week it can really be somebody else because I don't know. I really don't know who could slide in that top 5. I could have Miami at 5.
Niners.
I can
Niners
have
going to slide in.
the Niners are my 4.
Nah,
So
not yet. Not
I
yet.
think
they're
Dallas,
my number
I think
4.
my only disagreement is I think Dallas is number 4. I agree. Number 5 can be switched around with a couple of different teams. So, but Dallas has to be top 4.
What's the biggest riser into this discussion? Cincinnati, Miami, Minnesota, Pittsburgh. What are you laughing at?
Pittsburgh.
Why
I
are we laughing at you? Because you deserve it. They suck.
I think Miami has the best chance. And you know what? Miami and Baltimore, I feel, have the best chances to squeeze into a top 5.
You want to know a team I think has a better chance to squeeze in here than Baltimore? The Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans,
For
man.
as much as we disrespect them, I have a formula to win. They stop the run, they run it down your throat, and they're going to win close games. Simple. You're always going to discount them, and they're always going to win.
They're real good.
Yeah, but I don't know. After I have a bad taste in my mouth from when they got smacked to smithereens by Buffalo.
Which happens to like
Buffalo.
every other team in Buffalo.
Yeah, and that brings some caution. Are they going to win a road playoff game?
No.
They have in the past.
Yeah.
In the past,
Yeah. They
does
also
Ryan
had AJ.
Tannehill look
They
the
also
way he
had
has
AJ
been
Brown.
the last couple of years? No.
Yeah, they don't have AJ Brown no more. So
That is a great point. AJ Brown has been a crucial loss, and guess who's still there? Derrick Henry. So
yeah, that's fine. But yeah. Top 5, top 5.
we have a few minutes left, and we have to talk about UFC 281. Bring it to us. What's going on this weekend?
All right. So UFC 281. Last time I was here, talking about UFC, I said it was the biggest card of the year, UFC 280. This is also an insanely stacked card. They're coming to you from New York City, MSG, the Mecca. So we got a couple of fights, but I'll just quickly go over it. It's real stacked down to the bottom. I mean, the first fight that you got to watch out for is Molly McCain, the meatball. John might remember from the London card in July, where she absolutely knocked this girl unconscious. She's fighting Erin Blanchfield, who's a more of a grappler. So she's a big underdog, plus 310 for Molly, but I would slam that so hard because I think that she's kind of found her. I think she's peaking right now, and I think she's gonna get the job done. Then we got the return of Dominic Reyes taking on Ryan Spann, two top 10, I believe, light heavyweights in the world. Reyes, I don't think he's been seen for the last 2 years. He's been recovering from some vicious knockouts he's taken from Jan Blachowicz and Yuri Prochazka. So that's going to be those are the prelims. Then you got Brad Riddell versus Renato Moicano in the lightweight division to round out the prelims as the main event. That's going to be a good fight. Then to kick off the pay-per-view, we got the return of Dan Hooker. Yeah, I don't know much about his opponent. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know Claudio Puelles, I guess his name is. I would take Dan Hooker because I think he's back in the division that he needs to be in, the lightweight division. And hopefully he can get things back on track because Dan Hooker's just a big fan favorite. He always brings the fight. Then we got a big legendary fight. This is the last fight in the illustrious career of Frankie the Answer Edgar, former lightweight champion, future UFC Hall of Famer, 3 title defenses, and one of the craziest stats to me, most fight time in UFC history. You ready for this? 7 hours, 55 minutes, and 9 seconds spent in the octagon. Absolutely insane. And if it goes one round in this fight on Saturday night, he will have spent 8+ hours in the octagon, which is absolutely insane. He's taking on Chris Gutierrez. I don't know much about Gutierrez, but I just got to take Frankie Edgar. It's his last fight. Frankie is another big fan favorite. Everybody loves Frankie. I was watching the press conference last night, and the crowd, every time he picked up the mic, was just chanting, Frankie, Frankie, and it warms my heart because I love it when legends like that, get their flowers now so that they know that they were appreciated and loved and that they help change the business. But next up, we got possibly the people's main event. I think this is going to be a barn brawl. I think these guys are going to go at it. There's some bad blood. Some things have been said back and forth. Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. This is a huge lightweight fight. These two guys bring the fight. I love it. Poirier's last fight, he hasn't been seen in about a year. His last fight was in last December against Charles Oliveira in a loss for the title. He's been ready to fight since basically January, but they've just been kind of screwing with him a little bit. And Chandler's coming off possibly KO of the year earlier this year against Tony Ferguson with the front face kick. It's a 3-round fight that favors Chandler, but because of the cardio, and Chandler doesn't have the best cardio, but I think that Poirier is going to be able to get it done. I want to say my mind battles with this because I want to say that this fight is not going to see the distance. I don't think this is going to see the judges, but I also could see this fight as these guys going at it and giving it everything they got and them going the distance and being a fight of the year candidate. And I truly do believe that this is a fight where both guys are going to gain an immense amount of respect for each other, where they shake hands at the end of the fight and they bury the hatchet in the bad blood. It's going to be one of those fights. But that fight is just going to be incredible. Then we got the co-main event for the women's strawweight championship. We got Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. Carla has won 6 straight, and her last one was against Rose Namajunas for the title in probably the most boring fight in UFC or MMA history. I mean, it was an absolute dud. You could have fallen asleep and you wouldn't have missed anything. The crowd was absolutely booing her every time she picked up the mic or her name was mentioned. They really don't want Carla to win this fight. I think Zhang is going to come out and really just put it on Carla. She's the stronger woman. She's got the more power. I think she's faster. She's got the better. She's better on the feet. She's worked on the wrestling. Carla's more of strictly a wrestler. I think Weili's going to be able to nullify that for the most part. And just one thing, I mean, you guys might want to look this up. There was a video a couple days or a week ago where Weili, I don't know if you guys know Francis Ngannou. He's the UFC heavyweight champion of the world right now. He weighs 292 pounds currently during this video. Weili is a 115-pound fighter. Probably weighed closer to 125 or 130 at this point because she wasn't cutting weight. She picked up Ngannou effortlessly over her shoulder. A 5'4" woman, or I think 5'4", picked up a 6'4", 292-pound mammoth of a man like it was nothing. That's the type of strength that Carla's going to be dealing with on Saturday night. Then we got the main event, the fight that everybody's going to look forward to. The last style bender, Israel Adesanya, the UFC middleweight champion of the world, widely regarded as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world right now, taking on Alex Pereira. I believe I'm saying his name right. He's from Brazil. These guys have history. You guys might not know about it. Alex has 2 wins over Izzy in the kickboxing world. And his second fight against Izzy, he brutally KO'd Izzy. This is going to be a stand-up war, in my opinion. I think it's a personal fight for Izzy. He has said it's personal. This is a fight where I don't believe this is going to see the judges. I think somebody's going to sleep. Alex has kind of been hand-gifted this because of his history with Izzy in kickboxing world. He's only had 3 fights in the UFC. All the fights have really been stylistically perfectly match up for him, where they're really not wrestlers, they're stand-up guys. But every time I hear Izzy talk before this fight, I just feel like, and he's led on to this a lot in his interviews, he knows something that we don't about this fight. And I just have to believe in Izzy that he's going to get it done. He talks about how if you actually go back and watch the fights, he believed he was robbed in the first fight, was a bad decision. And the second fight, he was beating LX. And he got a little overzealous, overconfident, started fighting out of himself and got caught. I don't think he's going to do that this time. I think he's going to stay patient. I think he's going to pick his spots. And I think he's going to be able to find the target and finish Pereira. So I have, if you were going to go on to my parlay, what I'm doing, I'm taking the main event under 4.5 rounds, which is a plus money there. I'm taking Weili. She's a big favorite, but screw it, you got to put her in there. I'm taking Poirier. He's a favorite. I'm taking Frankie Edgar. He's an underdog. I'm taking Dan Hooker, Dominic Reyes, and Molly McCain. You get a really good plus money. I think I put it in yesterday. I only put $5 on it, and I think the payout is $500+. So it's a good bet. I mean, obviously all of them have to hit, but I can't wait for UFC 281. So check it out. Saturday night, prelims start at 8 o'clock. Main card starts at 10 p.m. ESPN Plus, MSG, the world's most famous arena. Just in New York City is going to be popping on Saturday night. Get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a great night.
Hey, you better be right, because I'm going to put my money on that.
Which one?
That ticket.
Oh, what I just laid out for you?
Yeah, so if you could pay my car insurance right there if I win this.
I'll send you the screenshot of it so you get it right.
There we go.
Thank you so much for watching and staying to the very end of episode number 48 here on the Wise Guys Podcast. I'm John Tortorelli. This is Brandon Capizzello and Justin Ray. And as always, until next time.
Stay classy.